guys, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Unbiased Magic Reviews, the most objective magic review channel here on YouTube. Today I've got another top 5 magic review for you. If you like this kind of review, I would urge you to subscribe to the channel. I would urge you to comment, give me a thumbs up, because that lets me know that you're interested, and that will motivate me to do more reviews just like this for you guys. Today I'm going over my picks for the top 5 ungaffed or ungimmicked witch hand effects from multiple spectators. About a month ago, I did a top 5 review of ungimmicked or ungaffed witch hand effects for one spectator, like one-on-one, and this fits in perfectly with that, because oftentimes you will find yourself in a position where you're doing a witch hand effect one-on-one and somebody else walks up and they start watching and maybe they want to also participate. So now you can do another phase or two where you're including 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And so that's why it's important that you have tools like this in your arsenal. And you'll notice that the majority of these effects come from books, because I feel that the best mentalism effects are buried in books. You'll find that there's a lot of mentalism effects out there, and a lot that are put out, you know, like these specialty gaff decks and stuff, or just little packet tricks that are mentalism tricks, and you'll see that there's a lot of that stuff is out there. The problem I have with a lot of those effects is that they look like they're coming from a magic shop, and it looks like a magic trick. And so I try to focus more on mentalism that looks like a miracle, and this is going to look like a miracle because you're giving an object like a coin or a bill to 5 people, and you have them hide it, and who knows who has it, and you can almost instantly be able to tell who has it and who doesn't. They're going to be completely baffled, and it looks very natural and off the cuff. Definitely doesn't look like it came from a magic shop. And so that's why I really focus more on this kind of mentalism. As I'm saying to you guys, as usual, I have no disclosures. Nobody has sent me any of this material that I'm reviewing with you guys. You will find that some of these routines are like 13 years old. Goes all the way back to that far back. And the reason why is because I've used this stuff over the years and found that I keep going back to it again and again, which is why I'm recommending it to you guys, because it's tried and tested. You know, it works really well, works great for me, and so that's really what it is. Anyway, I'm going to organize this review very simply. We're going to go over my criteria for the top 5. I'm going to give you a notable mention that probably many of you would think belongs in the top 5. I mean, maybe it could have. And then we're going to go over my list of top 5, and then I'm going to actually give you guys my sequence of what I perform when I'm performing for 2 people and how I expand it to more spectators, because you may find that useful, my routine of how I've combined a couple of these effects to make a more robust type of like routine, basically, is what I'm saying to you guys. Keep in mind that this top 5 list is directly related to what I have, what I've purchased over the years. So you may find that you have an effect that you think belongs in this list, and if that's the case, you know, as long as it meets the criteria, just leave us a comment below, because, you know, that will definitely benefit everyone. That will benefit me too as well, so that would be great. Anyway, let's get into the criteria. So the first part of the criteria is that, like I said, this is ungimmicked or ungaffed, and what I mean by that is you're not using any kind of aids. Like, you're not using like an electronic aid, like for instance like Sixth Sense by Hugo Shelley. You're not using this or anything like this. That's the first part of the criteria, and then the second part of the criteria is that you're going to be using multiple spectators. So it's not just one-on-one, it's more than one person that you're using, and that's really it. That's what I set forth for this criteria. It's very simple and straightforward. If we take a look at my notable mention, my first notable mention for you guys is Sunrise by Patrick Redford. It's an effect that you're probably familiar with. If you're not familiar with it, you have 4 spectators, and you're going to give each one of them a bill, a different denomination, and you turn your back and you tell them to switch them a couple of times. They make it a little ball and they hold it in their hand, and the idea being that you're going to try to figure out who has the highest denomination, and if you can't figure it out, then they can keep your money. That's the idea. And you go one by one asking them. You just first tell them, you know, tell me the truth, and you ask each person. In the performance, Patrick Redford asks everybody what their name is, and he says, tell me the truth. And then he goes through it again. He says, lie to me. And then he instantly will eliminate someone, whittles it down to just 3 people. And then he whittles it down to 2 people. And then he has them hold their hands out. And he's like, all right, I'm going to show you guys where the bill is. And of course, he's using also ideas from Max Maven. And you'll find that a lot of these witch hand type effects do use Max Maven's ideas, which I don't even need to mention because you guys already know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a great effect. And one of the main reasons why I didn't include it in the top 5 is because you do have to carry the bills with you to perform it. And so there is some preparation, and you'll notice that all of the effects in my top 5 are almost completely impromptu. There's one effect that you have to have a little bit of preparation, but you literally could do it on the fly with a borrowed bill, even in borrowed quarters as well if you wanted to. You almost literally could do it on the fly. But this effect by Patrick Redford, there's no way you could perform this impromptu. It would be very difficult because you'd have to get different bills from whoever's there with you. So you actually have to carry them with you. And I just feel also that the top 5 that I'm going to go over are just, I feel that they're just a little bit better, although Sunrise is a very good effect. It's very, very strong. So it's something you may want to take a look at, and that is why it is a notable mention here for you guys. So let's get into the top 5 list. Now, this top 5 list I've organized in terms of course, my favorites as we move forward, but I've also tried to organize it in terms of one being what I consider to be the easiest as well. And I also feel that it's also a lot more fooling. So as we move up, it's also really, really fooling. It gets more fooling, I think, but then again, they're all really fooling to lay people. So you're going to fool people badly with any of these routines that you use. I would recommend any and all of these routines I'm going to go over with you guys. They're all very strong. So starting out with number 5, we have an effect by Mark Elsden called Strange Oblique. Okay, and this is an effect that you're going to use for any amount of spectators that you want, which is great, but it really plays well if you have like at least 4 or 5 spectators, but you literally could use lots of spectators to do this, where you're basically going to give them a coin or an object that's going to be like the object that you're trying to find. You can give them some other coins. I think in the routine what he does is he gives one person 1 coin and everybody else he gives them like a duplicate of another coin. And the idea being that they're going to hide, someone's going to hide the coin. Whoever has the coin of interest or the object of interest has to tell the truth, and then everybody else has to lie, basically. And he's just going to ask some basic questions to people, and immediately will be able to know who has the coin of interest. Now, the effect is actually really clever. The method is very clever. It will require a little bit of practice. I found that this routine is the most difficult out of this list of top 5 because it's easy to kind of screw it up. So for that reason, you're going to have to really practice to understand it. And the main reason is because the information that you get from one person, you're going to be utilizing it to get information from the next person. And you have to just keep track of a few things in your mind. So if you're really good at reasoning on the fly, then this is an effect that you're going to really enjoy a lot. And what's really great about this effect is that there's a bonus where if you do perform like a witch hand type effect for 2 spectators, you can utilize the same principle for just 2 people, and it's very strong. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I do that in my own sequence when we get to it, because it's kind of like a little fail-safe, which will help you out a lot as well. And so we're going to get to that shortly, but I just mention it because I found that it's really good, and I've used it over the years over and over again. So that's number 5 on my list. Moving along to number 4, we have an effect that many of you are probably expecting to see on this top 5 list, which I've gone over in the past here on my channel, which is Prometheus by Manos Kartsakis, which you can find in his book Unveil. Now, this is a witch hand type effect for 2 spectators. He performs it on stage and uses a big box with a prediction inside of it, which I don't do that, obviously. But if you wanted to, you could even have like an envelope with a prediction that you can hand to one of them before you even start, if you wanted to, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to tell one spectator, or you're going to tell them one person's going to lie, one person's going to tell the truth. You give them an object like a coin, and you tell them that they're going to decide when your back is turned who's going to lie, who's going to tell the truth. They're going to hide the coin in one of their hands. and you tell them to keep their hands behind their back. So after they do that, you turn around and you're going to tell them you're going to ask them each one question, and that's it. And so you're going to tap on one arm of one person. You're going to say, is the coin in this hand? And then you're going to do the same thing for the second person. That's the only thing you ask. And then what you do next is you tell them, okay, in your mind only, if the coin is in this hand and you tap on the other hand, you tell them that you want them to think of one thing. If it's not in that hand, you want them to think of something else. And you do the same thing with the second spectator. After they've done that, you can immediately reveal what each person is thinking. They don't even have to say out loud to confirm whether or not you're right. They will know you're right, and it will be very amazing to them. And then in continuation, you have them bring their hands out like this, and you're able to tell them instantly where the coin is. Of course, using elements from Max Maven as well in this routine. And the methodology really comes from Manos Kartsakis' original effect from his book V, which was the Verbalist 2.0, which is a great routine as well. And I kind of like mention it here because it goes hand in hand with this, because it uses the same method. But Prometheus has that extra layer where you have them mentally think of something that you can immediately reveal. You can even predict it ahead of time, like in an envelope if you want to. After you're done, after you reveal the object, you can have them open the envelope and read the paper that says, I knew that, this person would think of this and that person would think of that, and you can even make the prediction in real time in front of them before you start if you want to. It's up to you. So there's a lot of versatility there. In terms of difficulty, I would say it's like absolute beginner level. It's very, very simple. You won't get confused. And it's one of those routines that you're going to enjoy a lot. It's great to do with two spectators, which is why I mention it here. And this is number 4 on my list of top 5 which hand effects, without, of course, ungaffed, without any of this, for multiple spectators. Moving along to number 3 on my list of top 5 which hand effects for multiple spectators, we have Common Sense Prediction by Drew Backenstoss, and you can find this in his book, Architect of the Mind. This is a great which hand type effect for 3 spectators. It's very baffling, and it does involve a prediction, as I mentioned. So you would take out a bill that you have and you would give it to one person, and you would give the other 2 people 2 quarters, and you would tell them you're going to turn your back and that you're going to have them mix them up amongst themselves. So you're going to have them switch them a couple of times, and then you immediately can turn around and start with one person, and you could tell them, if you have the bill, I want you to think of this. If you don't have the bill, I want you to think of that. And then you can immediately reveal, whether or not that they don't have it. You can go to the next spectator and you could do the exact same thing. You have them think of something, and then you're going to reveal whether or not they have it. And the same thing with the third spectator. Now, the reason why this effect is so strong is because they don't need to answer any questions whatsoever. You're going to know exactly where it is without them having to tell you anything. And that is the reason why I put this above Prometheus, because Prometheus, you actually have to ask them a question. In this routine, you don't ask anything. So it's very, very strong. And when you guys read it in the book, you're going to see that the script is ingenious. Drew Backenstoss has a really nice script, especially because each one of those answers is going to be a prediction that you've written out. And he had like a really nice, awesome sentence that goes with it. So it has a really nice kicker ending where it's going to be like laughable. It's kind of funny, but you can change that and you can make it anything you want. And I would actually urge you to change those items that they're thinking about, because he has them think of a person, a place, and a thing, and then he has a sentence that involves the person, the place, and the thing. But you can change that to whatever the setting is where you perform to make it something, kind of interesting or fun or laughable based on where you perform and what you do. And as I mentioned, this is totally self-working. Like, there's no sleight of hand. It's super easy. You won't forget anything. It's great. And it's literally almost impromptu. I would say it's literally almost impromptu. In most conditions, you probably could just borrow the items that you need for the most part. But because of the method, I don't want to tip the method, but it's so simple, but so diabolical that you will be performing this if you can get your hands on his book. I think it is sold out. I don't know, and I don't really know if it's sold out anymore or not, but it's really, really strong. I think you guys are gonna like it a lot, and it's great for 3 people. So it's a great piece that it's really like a stage piece, almost like it's really a strong piece. Anyway, that is number 3 on my list of top 5 witch hand effects for multiple spectators. And here we go, we're moving along to the top 2 spots. So number 2 on my list is an old effect. This is like 13 years old, okay? Try to bear with me. This is a witch hand effect by Patrick Redford, which is called Prevaricator. Now, this is done for 2 spectators, but you can actually do it for more. You could do it for 3 spectators as well. He goes over it. It is a system that you're going to learn where you could be able to tell who is hiding an object. And this is such a smart and clever system that it's so much fun to perform. You guys will really enjoy it a lot when you learn how to do it. Now, in the original version where he went over, like in the original version, it's with 2 people. You tell them that you want one person to be a truth teller, one person to be a liar. You give them an object like a coin, they hide it in their pocket, and then when you turn around, you don't know who's telling the truth or who's lying, and you just ask each person the same question. Do you have the object? Do you have the object? That's it. And you immediately can tell them who has the object. Now, I will tell you guys from personal experience, this is an absolute blast to perform because your spectators will be absolutely baffled how you know where the object is each time. This is designed to be repeated multiple times as well. Now, Patrick Redford, he usually just does it like 3 times, and I've done it like that too, where I'll do it 3 times in a row, because the 3rd time, he'll usually have them bring the object out, you know, in the usual fashion and be able to tell them where it is and which hand that it is immediately, okay? Now, the beauty of this too is the extra add-ons that you'll learn, like the extras, are absolutely wonderful because there's versions of this where each person can choose whatever role they want. And I like to utilize that when I perform, where I'll tell them like, okay, this time, like after 2 times, the 3rd time, you'll tell them, this time you guys don't have to do different roles. If you want, you could both be truth tellers, you both could be liars, but just make sure you guys know what each of your roles is while you turn around. And then when you turn back around, you could continue doing the exact same thing. It absolutely baffles them, and it's a lot of fun. I will tell you guys, as we get to my sequence, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what I do, because the Prevaricator system uses an element of psychology, which is absolutely diabolical. Once in a while, you'll get someone which is really hard to read though, and I have a fail-safe for that. So stay tuned. We're gonna get to that because I've been doing this for years, and I have run into those circumstances where I've had 2 people that were kind of difficult, and so that's why I've come up with a fail-safe, which I'm gonna go over with you guys shortly. All right, moving along to my number 1 pick for the best witch hand type effect. It is Ungaffed for multiple spectators. And this is Double Tequila by Juan Pablo Ibanez. And you can find this in his book, Body Mentalism. Of course, it comes from a book, right? Of course. I found that this is the easiest effect to perform on the list, and it is the strongest because it is a witch hand type effect, but for 5 spectators. So in a moment, I'm going to tell you guys how I like to use this, but just to give you an idea what the effect looks like, you have 5 spectators. You tell them that each person can either be a truth teller or a liar. It's up to them. They choose in their own mind what they want to do. And then you give them an object, like a coin. You turn around and you tell them that you want whoever has the object is to switch it with whoever's next to them, one side or the other. And they're going to switch it based on however many times the audience tells them. So the audience says switch, and they switch. The audience says switch, they switch. And they just keep doing that until the audience, stops. And then you tell them, okay, now somebody has the object. Nobody knows who has it. Why don't you do this as well? Why don't you guys all switch places to where you are in the line as well? Like switch your actual location. So that way now you're not in the same lineup. So that adds another element of impossibility. Now under those conditions, you turn around and you tell them you're going to ask each person one question. Do you have the object? So you go through the line and you do that, and you immediately can eliminate 3 people, and you could tell those 3 people, if they were telling the truth or they were lying immediately. So now you're down to just 2 people. Now you're down to 2 people, and again, you're going to ask them one more question, because it's very similar to Tequila Hustler, obviously, which is why it's called double tequila, and you can immediately tell them where the object is. It's very, very strong effect for 5 spectators, and it's stupid simple is what it is. It's that easy to perform. It's so easy to perform. If you can perform Tequila Hustler, you can perform this. That's how easy it is. But the layer of complexity, it looks so complex, but it's not. It's just as simple as the original Tequila Hustler. And the reason why I think more people don't know about this effect or perform it is for one major reason: because it's in a book. Nobody reads books, that's why. But here on this channel, you guys know I share with you guys these gems that I've learned over the years, and you're not gonna learn this anywhere else, you know? You're really not. Anyway, that is my pick for #1 best witch hand effect for multiple spectators. Let's move into my sequence now. I told you guys I was gonna share with you my sequence, my routine that I like to perform of the witch hand type effect for multiple spectators. And I've actually had a couple of people that asked me about this after my last review. And of course, since I've been doing this for years, of course, I have fine-tuned my own routine to include multiple effects together for maximal output. Because think about it, with just this, you're going to look like you have superhuman powers. With just a simple object, it could be a borrowed object. So in terms of whatever witch hand effect you want to do one-on-one, that's up to you. You do whatever one you want. Once you have a second person come in, what I will do is I will perform Prevaricator for those 2 people. And I like to do 2 phases with them. Now, if you run into a situation where they're difficult to read, you know, most of the time it goes off without a hitch. I would say like Prevaricator, it's about 85% effective, where you immediately know what's going on. It's like so simple, it's so easy to perform. But if you run into somebody who's difficult and you have a hard time with the Prevaricator system, what I will do is I will immediately now go into Verbalist 2.0 by Manos, which again, I mentioned before, you can find that in V, because that will make it surefire. Once I'm done with that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to up the ante. I'm going to say, you know, we've already done 3 rounds of this effect, and you found the coin in their hand that 3rd round. So let's up the ante. This time I want you guys, again, to decide if you're going to tell the truth or lie, but this time you both can do the same thing if you want. So you can both be truth tellers, or you could both be liars. It's up to you. You guys decide, or you could be, you know, opposites, whatever you want. Here's the coin. So if they were thinking that your method relied on one of them telling the truth and one of them lying, now they have no idea. So when I turn back around again, I'm going to use the Prevaricator system again to figure out where it is, because as per the bonus that you're going to learn with Prevaricator, you're going to learn to be able to instantly tell where the coin is. But again, if they are difficult to read, what I will use is I will use Mark Elsden's method from Strange Oblique, because there's a bonus at the end of Strange Oblique where you can do for 2 people using the same method, again, where you'll immediately be able to tell where it is. And so that's what I will perform as the next effect. And so now you've upped the ante. So now that's like the 4th phase of the routine. And now you can end there, or if there's more people watching, and usually by now you have a whole group of people watching, now you'll say, you know what? Let's take this another step further. Let's make this really impossible. How about you 5 stand over here? And now I'm going to go into double tequila, and I'm going to perform it exactly as I mentioned to you guys. And the double tequila effect is just a powerhouse. It just blows them away. And so you could see that this layering of effects creates a routine that just becomes stronger and stronger. And you can start with just one-on-one and just build up all the way. And sometimes I'll do one-on-one and that's it. Sometimes I'll do one-on-one and I'll just end with 2 people. It really depends on, you know, your situation, where you're performing and how many people are around there. But I wanted to share this with you guys because a lot of people have asked me in terms of what I do. And so that's why I mentioned to you guys. And you could see that I've been performing this type of routine now literally for almost 15 years. And so that's why I can tell you what works and what doesn't work. Anyway, if you guys think that I missed something that belongs on this list of top 5, just leave me a comment below. Keep in mind, I probably don't own it. That's probably why I didn't make it to this top 5 list. Just make sure that it does fit the criteria that I mentioned. Again, if you really like this type of review, I would urge you to subscribe to the channel and comment and give me a thumbs up, because that will motivate me to do more reviews like this. I hope that this has been helpful to you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next review.